What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. In this one, let's talk about an updated ML5 just placement list for specifically the Headhunt event. So this is just for new players trying to see which ML5, things have been shaken up in terms of balance patches, in terms of just the meta shifting. So this is not an end of season RTA sweaty tier list trying to get legend, just for the Headhunt, just to guide maybe some newer players. We got a lot of new people coming in from the Apoc collab. Maybe some of y'all haven't picked your Headhunt just yet. There's still plenty of time yet. I haven't locked mine in. Remember, patience is key. I see a lot of posts, especially on like Reddit, about people saying they got trolled because they picked their ML5 of choice and then they ended up pulling it on Galaxy Summons, or it ended up coming to Mystic Summons. Remember, guys, wait as long as possible. I know some of y'all may want that ML5 immediately, so I can't blame you. I might have done the same if I was, there's something I really wanted. But let's go ahead and just, wrap it all up. There are some units going up and down, and especially the Apocalypse Ravi, who I see a lot of people talking about, who used to be considered one of the best, if not the best ML5. A lot of players are saying she's kind of bad now. We'll cover all of that in this video. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's get to it. Keep in mind that Zio, Astromancer Elena, and Commander Pavel are not available in the Headhunt, as well as we're not going to cover units like Martial Artist Ken, Silverblade Araminta. While those could be good in the right hands generally for an advice on who to pull, I won't talk about them too much because they're either too niche, need some buffs or something, a little bit of love. All ML5s can be good, but yeah, some of them I wouldn't recommend at all, at least for a Headhunt event. Okay, guys, let's actually start from the bottom up, because this time I know a lot of people, maybe the reason you click this video is because we're going to talk about Apocalypse Ravi and where she kind of stands in the current state of the game. So the reason you might hear people kind of saying she's bad now, I know at least in Twitch streams, I'm not sure in Reddit or on Stove, Facebook, wherever you guys hang out and talk with other E7 players, I'm not sure what the general consensus is, but I wouldn't be surprised if y'all have also heard that she's not as good as she used to be, or some people even like making fun of her, making fun of people picking her from the Headhunt. And don't worry about that. I'm going to explain it all right now. So, is Apocalypse Ravi getting worse? Technically, yes. I think, especially in Twitch streams where a lot of the streamers are Emperor or Legend, plus in those ranges, she is harder to use at the highest levels of RTA. You can't just first pick her like you could in previous seasons. If you do kind of use her carelessly, a lot of times she doesn't bring enough to the table in terms of tempo, where she only provides like single target hits, can get trapped by units like Lanny, Specteni. She has a lot of hard counters in terms of like injury units. She's not quite the powerhouse first pick that she used to be, and a lot of people, if you do pick her willy-nilly, can get punished hardcore. But that's only for Emperor and Legend players, guys. For everybody lower than that, she's still so amazing, because not everyone has the gear, doesn't have all the unit knowledge or units period to capitalize on, a careless Ravi pick. That being said, too, she still is a powerful third, fourth, fifth pick in the right hands. You just can't pick her all the time like she used to. But that doesn't make her a bad unit. That just means it's not really her meta. There's a lot of units that kind of pushed her out of there, but she's still an amazing pick, guys. And since this is a new player guide for headhunting, don't regret picking her if you already did. Just be aware that if you were somehow to push into the highest levels of RTA, which I don't expect a lot of people to, no offense, it's just very hard in a gacha game. You need a lot of time, hunt investment, energy investment, maybe sometimes cash investment, right? Get those Amazon coins, guys. But yeah, that's just don't worry about that for higher levels. Only in higher levels, highest levels of RTA is she losing some value. Still a powerhouse Guild War unit, arena unit, and anyone climbing up to Masters especially, you can first pick her. She's going to be so solid there. I would encourage you to first pick her so your opponent doesn't get her, because at lower levels of play, she's still a god tier unit. Even up to Champion, she's still very, very strong. It's just at Emperor and Legend, you got to pick her a little bit more carefully, okay, guys? Also, units like Auden, right? The introduction of Auden have kind of pushed her out a little bit, as Auden is so powerful. A lot of times she can one-shot her if you're not careful, if you're not tanky enough, you don't have mitigation. But yeah, there's a few reasons why Apoc Ravi is losing a little bit of value. But if I were to place her, guys, I would still place her in the top picks, just instead of being higher up. Maybe she lost a few spots here and there if you are already approaching higher levels or endgame real-time arena. Everything else, guys, she's still powerful. I wouldn't be surprised if she bounced back a little bit, if the meta ever shifts, which it always does. Okay, but I'm going to leave her here, but just keep in mind I'd place her near the top still. All right, guys, next up, Spirit Eye Celine and Little Queen Charlotte. I just want to talk about these super briefly because it's a little out of order. We need to talk about units like Briar Witch Iceria first, but Spirit Eye Celine and Little Queen Charlotte, I would expect them actually to get buffed in a future patch, because right now, Spirit Eye Celine is catching stray bullets. She's really only good right now in Guild War offense. I know, guys, there's people out there that can pick her in RTA and still win, but she has a lot of hard punishes, so you have to be super careful. And with Bryceria getting buffed, she's going to be in big trouble. So, yeah, I think she's getting some stray bullet, like she's getting caught in the crosshairs, not directly nerfed, but indirectly nerfed. And it's kind of the same with Little Queen Charlotte. I mentioned Auden. Auden is kind of just, you know, a lot of times a safer Little Queen Charlotte with her evasion. I know Little Queen Charlotte still brings like the splash to the table and other things like that, the mitigation, but I think Auden is just like the new Little Queen Charlotte for nuking dark units. She's safer, a lot easier to use. Little Queen Charlotte probably is going to get a buff soon, especially because she's the skin in this next RTA season. So I'd avoid picking these two right now because they aren't at the top of their game. They've been kind of pushed out for various reasons. Okay, now I want to start from the top. Sorry guys to reverse us, but I want to talk about Apoc Robbie. Let's go top down from top picks to getting buff soon and then gaining a little bit of value. Real quick guys, if this video helps you at all, or if any of my videos in the past have helped, please consider subscribing to the channel. We're trying to get the sub number up. It would mean a lot to me. On top of that, don't forget, if you guys are in the need of some extra help on E7, it is a free-to-play friendly game, but it is the holiday season, so if you have some extra cash and you want to spend, there's no better way than to use the Amazon Appstore and use Amazon coins to save up to 20% off your purchases. I'll walk you through it super fast, guys. 3 easy steps. Save a ton of money. 10,000 Amazon coins is only 82. Load them up at a special rate, like I said. Big discounts. Get Epic 7 on your app. Download it through the Amazon App Store, and then open Epic 7 through that app and start saving. It's that easy. No strings attached. Big discounts. If you were going to spend, guys, make sure you use Amazon App Store and Amazon coins. Let's get back to the video. My top picks are always relatively the same. If from my last Headhunt sort of guide, these are all still very powerful units. Nothing has changed in their regard. Spec Tenny, one of the best. The only reason you wouldn't get her is because you already picked her up from, you know, your first Mystic connection, I believe it's called, or ML5 connection. If you didn't, guys, consider getting her. One of the best in all areas of the game. Right now in the meta, she's never been stronger. Very, probably the uncontested top pick, at least in my opinion, especially for new players. Lionheart Surmi, also very good for new players. Used in a lot of areas, PvE, PvP as well. Still remaining strong. Some people might consider her slightly worse because of the 3% dual attack. You know, dual attack's getting nerfed. But really, guys, you only are bringing her against activators like Conqueror Lilius, so you shouldn't be relying on random duels anyways. So I don't think she should lose any value just because of that dual attack nerf. I think she's still amazingly strong, very good for new players. You'll be able to pick her in a lot of areas: PvE, Guild Wars, Arena, and RTA. Very solid pickup. Conqueror Lilius, excuse me, is still super strong, right? Always, you know, very good. You want to be a little bit faster. You want to play a little bit more aggressive to play her at her highest potential, but she can be used a little bit slower, maybe in standard comps. Just be careful, guys, of going too slow if you don't have enough gear to sort of capitalize on it, or if you don't have enough damage style play to capitalize on like her vigor buff and her slight control. You may want to pick other units like Spec Tenny, Lionheart, or some of these other ones here, but she's still super good, needs to be respected. One of the best units in the game still. Just be careful of that speed sort of you know, requirement. Bellion is a little bit interesting. I do think she might, you know, you could probably place her here. Some people might even want to place her here, but I do think we should talk about her real fast. I think she's a top pick for PvP in general, at least for ML5 scenarios. The fact that she just stops all souls, can reach and hit problem units like Spectre Titania, one of her biggest counters, is just so amazing. But the fact that she isn't usable in PvE and the fact that she's banned out a lot feels bad, you know, picking an ML5 that you don't get to see play too much because she's pre-banned so often. That is kind of a downside, but remember, she has unique abilities to the game. She's actually not that hard to use in general once you do pick up those gear sets, either injury or counter. And a lot of times she provides a ton of value, even passively, because of those souls, because of the counter procs, because of the fact that she hits all units, does good debuffs, pretty tanky, all that stuff makes her still a solid top pick. Just maybe I would put her lower. I just wanted to talk about her because I think a lot of players place her at the top. But depending on how much you think she'll do for you, you may want to place her down a little bit. Let's talk about the two cleansers, especially the two immunity cleansers at the moment, the ML5s, Mediator Choleric and Desert Jewel Bazaar. Immunity and cleanse is so powerful right now in the current meta, but I think even if I put Desert Jewel Bazaar is better than Hand Guy or Choleric in a normal RTA tier list. Remember, this is not an RTA tier list per se, just a Headhunt guide. Meteor Queric goes above because of his ease of use. The fact that you don't necessarily need to build effect resist on him, the fact that you just put some speed and some bulk on him, and he's always a reliable cleanser for the most part. Remember, units like Faithless Litica and Fire Queric can still sometimes, you know, push him back. Lua, whatever it might be in general, right? Versus units like AOL, heavy debuffers like maybe Solitaria. He's so strong because he just always cleanses himself with that, you know, skill 3 interaction, and then he has the immunity up, attack up. Very easy to use for new players. Super, super good. Usable almost everywhere. A strong pick for sure. Same thing with Desert Drill Bazaar. Strong immunity unit. Very good right now. The Barian version is so powerful. Has blind as well. Just be careful, guys, because he is a lot harder to gear than Koeric. Sometimes you will need effect resist on him as well as bulk. So he's much, much harder to gear than Koeric, but immunity up is so strong right now. Inversion is so strong right now. I think he's a top pick if you can gear him. Just some people prefer to have like damage or carry units like these instead of, you know, support units. But I think Koeric for sure. If you guys need help with that, if you don't have Destina or can't give enough effect resist, they should be amazing picks. All right, let's zoom through the second pick row real fast, guys. Solitaria, if you didn't watch the CCB, the Content Creator Battle, I was casting it, and I saw Solitaria so often. She can take over a match all on her own. You can also make her do some damage to Fairtail for a Nightmare and kill units on her own as well. Anti-focus, just very, very strong right now. Might even be a top pick. But just because of that unique kind of play style and the fact that she's not a direct damage dealer, I may place her still lower because I don't know if new players, you know, can carry with her on her own. She also has an interesting gear set or gear requirement, you know, wanting some speed, effect resist, and sometimes effectiveness too, you know, depending on what kind of style you're going for, as well as bulk. So just be aware she's extremely powerful right now. Hard counters a ton of units, can carry and control units on her own. Very, very good pickup. The Pirate Captain Flan and Archieman Mercedes have always been solid. I think Pirate Captain Flan is even better than Mercedes at the moment because of units like Auden, Remnant Violet being more picked. Evasion is very strong right now, and Pirate Captain Flan can just kind of... She has so much versatility. She can just sometimes skill 1 units with that Caesarea artifact, the one that plants a bomb. Remember that interaction, guys. If you don't have that Summertime Caesarea artifact, her value goes down a lot, so be careful with that. But Archieman Mercedes 2, very powerful. Just not picked as she was last season. Units like Auden also, you know, kind of counter these units, but they're still super amazing hard carries on their own. You do see them still a ton. I do think they're great in the second pick row. Same thing with Lilibet. Designer Lilibet, still very strong, especially against units like Ran. Anything with heavy debuffs. She's a easier to use cleanser. She can be played around a little bit, so be careful, guys. But in general, not too hard to gear. Does good damage, survivable, big cleanse. I think a lot of people's favorite. Remnant Violet. I mentioned Evasion. Her and Auden have been picked a lot more this season. Very, very strong. Can destroy units like Lionheart Sirmia. Can trap units like Bellion. With his new buffs, he is so much better than he used to be. Just a lot of people still may not like him because he's gear intensive, and he can still just die 30% of the time if you're unlucky, okay? So be careful with him, but I do think he's an amazing pick. Now, last but not least, guys, I have Sage Ball and Sezin up here. This guy, I would probably not even put in second pick row, but I do want to mention him because of his power level. If your endgame goal is RTA and you're a standard player or slower player and you want to equal the playing field against fast players, besides Zeo, because Zeo's banned out a lot. Maybe you don't have access to Zeo, right? He's not in this Headhunt selection. Sage Ball is your guy. He's one of the best anti-aggro, anti-cleave equalizer for speed players, or to fight speed players, I should say, as a standard or slower player. So keep an eye on him, okay? Otherwise, he's still niche, not really usable outside of that scenario. So, yeah, but just for that fact, I think he should have some respect. But I would probably not place him in the second pick row if you're not one of those RTA exclusive players. All right, guys, in the getting buff soon, Bright Witch Iseria. She's going to be so good after the patch, guys. Anti-revive, right, for everyone, not just the enemy team, as well as increased hit chance versus units like Remnant Violet, like Auden. I keep mentioning Auden all the time. That's going to be very good. And on top of that too, right, defense break and ignore effect resist. So units like Destina, who have been such an issue, been seeing so much play because of how good Destina is. Briar Witch I think is going to be so amazing. I think her value skyrockets. I would place her somewhere in the second pick row, if maybe even at the bottom of the top pick row. But for now, I don't want to place her anywhere because she's not out yet. I don't want to make a too early claim. Just be aware, guys. I expect her to skyrocket in value in stock because of those buffs. Dark Corvus, I don't think is going to move too much for most players. I still don't think I would recommend him overall unless you love Guild Wars, but be aware he is getting some significant buffs like 100% provoke, I believe, as well as immunity to stun, so that might let him see some play in real-time arena and not just be a Guild War powerhouse. I know he's already kind of sees a little bit of play in real-time arena for some players against units like Lionheart Sirmia, but for the general average player, you won't see him almost ever. All right, in the gaining stock row, guys, just real briefly, top model Luluka, she got buffs in the past relatively recently, and I think I'm seeing so much more of her. Just keep in mind she's gear intensive. Could be depending on how aggressive a player you are, depending on how good your gear is or how much you think you can get good gear, I might put her in the second pick row. But I'm not. This isn't my area of expertise. I just know I've been seeing her a lot being played by aggressive players, cleaver players, as well as fighting against her. So I think she's definitely a good unit, much better than she used to be. Same thing with Sylvian, guys. I've been using her myself. Spirit Sage Vivian is super good. On her release, she had a ton of hard counters that were in the meta, like Rimuru. Fire Carrot was busted out. Zahawk can still one-shot her depending on his EE. But I think for various reasons with the meta shifting, if you pick her carefully a little bit later, she's a super strong unit right now, guys, both in aggressive play, standard play, can fight units like Apocalypse Ravi, like Spectre Tenebria, just very strong, and a lot of people like her and ask me if she's good, so I wanted to talk about her. I do think she's much better than when she was on her release, and no buffs happen, just meta shifts. People learn to build her, play her a little bit better, play her more carefully, okay? All right, guys, let's wrap it up there. Thank you so much for tuning in. Good luck on your headhunt, whatever you choose, just don't regret it. Take all the info into consideration. Try to be as patient as possible so you don't mess anything up. And yeah, guys, appreciate you guys watching. I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace out, everybody.